We're going to bring Bradford back on. This song is called If You Love Somebody. If you love somebody. If you love somebody, set them free.
Good morning, everyone. This is Frank Jordan with the Wolf Spirit radio system, and we're tuned in worldwide now through JP and through connections through Skype as well as other means, and our efforts, particularly in Earth Mind, are having an effect. I've been occupied the last few days, last week in fact, and haven't been on, but I've been listening to some of the broadcasts, and the group did an exceptional job because the intensity of the earthquakes has not risen, and that gives me a lot of good feedback in as much as usually when I'm gone a day or two and don't lead the group, that the earthquakes begin to get more intense. But the group did a wonderful job. I want to congratulate all of them for doing a good job of keeping the earthquake energy clear, the stress energy of Earth. And that stress energy has so much to do with the consciousness and the actions and interactions and reactions of humans. Because everyone feels that. We're all tuned together. And from the instinctive consciousness of Earth Mind that rises up through our root chakra, we have sensitivity to weather patterns. Every time some massive weather pattern hits in the Midwest somewhere, we all feel the effects of it. And we feel the anticipation of it. And Diane came up with an excellent suggestion this morning that we should clear the fear out of people that is being programmed and instigated by the government agencies themselves who predict disasters. So she will work with us on that at the tail end of the show. All right. We're just getting tuned in now. Take your awareness up into your third eye. And step back into your indwelling soul and unify laterally into the superconscious mind through the soul body. Just reach out laterally in both directions and touch in to the experiential consciousness of the indwelling souls of all people. If I have to say there's a general thing in the consciousness right now, it's high anticipation of waiting for a big event to happen in the soul center. And so through the soul center, we want to prompt and promote that. And what it is the intensity and concentration on the world shift in the financial institutions at this time. Holding your attention in this soul center now, think about the world financial situation and feel that intensity that's there like an unresolved stress, and that's exactly what it is. Stress is simply unresolved situations that need to be brought to fruition and cleared. So we will work with that when we get to the portion of the program where we're working in Earth Mind to clear negative patterns and programs. Now move one step back deeper. Move back into the psychic center, the pineal gland. And this is the doorway. This is the gate to the subconscious mind. Just to reach out and just be attuned psychically to everyone out there. Know that you're already attuned through the vibraports in the body. Now take a step back deeper and expand through the subconscious mind. And you feel that expansion downward through your upper body. And you pause here for a moment and feel the attunements that have opened up now to everything in the world. Where we want to put our attention, we can feel it through here. And through the feeling comes intuitive knowledge. It comes directly into our mind about situations or information. So just be open and receptive now, knowing that you are shielded from any intrusive energies, because this is part of our intent going into these meditations, is that we will be shielded and protected from any intrusive or negative or malicious energies or entities of any kind. So feel that shield around yourself now and extend that out to anyone in the listening audience. This is no different than the healing energies, except it has a different intent. So we reach out through World Spirit Radio and around the world and backward and forward in time. If people listen to the tapes later, feel that shielding that's growing around as a protection against malicious or intrusive energies. Now drop your awareness down to the heart center, the 0 point, and touch into the spirit center there. This is just like coming into attunement to this light of spiritual consciousness, this aspect of God that indwells in us and gives us the opportunity to be human and to experience all things possible in the human condition. Now, in that respect, experiencing all things possible means that through our high soul, our inspirational powers, and intuition, we can create all positive things possible. And at the 0 point, as we drop down into the low self, we're feeling everything that has already been created before, and the wrong choices or being subjective to domination forces is what we've been experiencing in the third dimensional reality. Now, with this awareness, we know we don't want to pull forward any negative programs out of Earth Mind and out of the past through our instinctive low self consciousness. Instead, we want to be in our high selves, always optimistic and high, holding our tension above our eyebrows, because in that state, the low self cannot penetrate and bring negativity into our minds or into our lives. We create a reality every moment of every day, and that reality is simply expressed through the low self, should it be up and in charge for that moment, or through your high self, physical conscious reality that you've created out here, your everyday consciousness point of being. Now drop your awareness on down the spine to the root chakra. And this is our most primitive level of our mid-range human consciousness. Just be there for a moment. Now any promptings that come to you will, when you allow or ask for something, will come from this level. And this is a level that carries a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of the stresses of survival. So we want to just tune into our own lives now and look at the things. Interesting, as soon as I said that, I felt pressure in my heart because of the stress that all of you are feeling out there that has not been dealt with, that you've not brought to resolution. And so if you feel it rise into your heart, that means it's trying to come on up into your conscious mind and be a deterrent to your growth and evolution and happiness. Because the low self, primarily being instinctive, primitive, it just simply holds the form through this devic form of consciousness, and it's is very habituated to recycling the same thing again and again because it has comfort and assurance of survival if it keeps recycling the same thing. But if we want to change anything, improve anything, uplift ourselves, move into the fourth dimension, we have to shift our center point of consciousness from the low self to the high self. So with that thought in mind, we go down to the source of negativity, which is held in the low self, and this is patterned in the Akashic records, because this is the Akashic records in the silicon dioxide and the 63% of the Earth's crust that is a living crystal, a quartz crystal. And that crystal holds, just like in a computer hard disk, silicon dioxide holds every thought, every frequency, and it is tremendously intelligent itself, because this is Earth mind. Earth mind that associates every input. It associates it with things of the past and uses that as this moment of now, instinctive consciousness. And so if we want to clear and release things out of our low self, we have to do it through the power and attunement of the high self. And so this is why when you want to clear something out of your low self that's affecting you or the world, you take that intent, that power, you pull the power down from the high self, the oversoul, into the undersoul, and direct with your power and intent the earth mind, the devas that hold the form and the pattern of all things, to change, to release, to grow. And this is what allows humans to evolve. It doesn't necessarily all have to be as a result of human interactions in every moment of now, in our choices. We can greatly empower it by clearing those patterns and forms that create our moment of now and hold the old forms. And by clearing and lightening and reprogramming Earth mind, that resonance into our moment of now raises the frequency of whatever it is you're working on and working with. Now, of course, Earth mind is vast and powerful. It takes a lot of energy in order to affect anything, or particularly things in group mind consciousness. And that's why we use the power of the ring of fire and the earthquake grid. That's one reason. The second reason, of course, is to stabilize the earth conditions so it'll be suitable for our environment and our growth and our living. And the third thing, of course, is to clear earth mind and raise the consciousness of every living thing on earth. So take your awareness now on down through the root chakra into earth mind. And as you do this, you just feel yourself being drawn down into the earth as you come into attunement with it. Now know that in resonance with earth mind, anything you feel or any thought that rises up into your mid-range of consciousness will be a response to what is stored in earth. So just feel what's coming up into your mind at this time. Someone has their mic on. So now we take our point of attention to Southern California and the earthquake center there. And this is how we can tune in into working directly with the consciousness of Gaia, Mother Earth. Just become one and feel your low self just pulled into the earth, into Southern California, along the San Andreas Fault. Feel that fault line. Now extend out laterally to the small lateral faults in an area that are in constant movement and agitation. Now let that energy come into you, that stress energy that's there, that builds up until it releases as an earthquake. And lift that energy upward, up your spine, through the heart center, where our desire and will is making this all happen. On up through the crown chakra, up through oversoul, which is simply the male polarity in opposition to the female earth polarity. On up into the ionosphere surrounding the earth. And here we've created a golden grid of consciousness, a storehouse that responds to our desire and will and energy. And our intent in creating this was to shield Earth from meteors, and from solar flares and things of that nature. And we've seen scientific evidence that this is working very well. Now bring this energy up that you feel in Southern California, in the earthquake fault. Spread it laterally in all directions around the earth. Visualize it and feel it. And this is a unique feeling. You may feel yourself prompted to draw a long, deep breath and settle down deeper in the frequency ranges as your mind goes completely blank into the world of feeling, because feeling is the language of the universe. All right, we'll work with this later. Now bring your awareness back into Southern California and move northward to San Diego and on up the San Andreas Fault line to San Francisco, and on up to the Oregon line. Now this is a lateral fault where the earth plate is moving north parallel to the U.S. continent plate. And so that slippage is what causes the minor earthquakes. But if they hang up, they can become massive earthquakes, as we've seen in the past. Now move your awareness to the east edge of California and Nevada, in the Sierra Mountains, Sierra Nevada Mountains. This is a thrust fault, where that plate that is the greater part of California is subducting under the Nevada side and raising the Sierra Nevada Mountains. What we do there, and there's a lot of activity all the way through, all the way back down into the San Diego area. What we do in that region is simply lubricate that thrust fault and lift the excess energy that's released into the golden grid. How interesting. I feel this, the resonance of this stress energy through my entire body, particularly the solar plexus and abdomen. As we release that energy, let it flow. Reinforcing the golden grid with the intent to monitor and suppress earthquakes and detrimental weather. Now move your awareness eastward to the Rocky Mountains, all the way down through New Mexico to Las Vegas. Lift those energies upward as high as Wyoming. And there we're drawn to the Yellowstone cauldron. And there's been ongoing activity on the northwest edge of that cauldron. Now, another thing we can look forward to is the effects of the super moon as it swings closer to Earth, and the intensity tends to break in its gravitational pull. It breaks these blocks that we're releasing. So we want to lubricate all the blocks and the energy of the cauldron that is being stirred by the moon. Lift that energy upward into the golden grid. Now we're going to use the supermoon in a new way that we haven't done before. We want to take that moon attraction that generally draws on Earth, creates the tides, and actually raises the surface of the Earth 6 feet as it passes by, but it's so slow and gentle we never notice it. But that rising and falling is what causes a lot of the release of earthquakes. So in the gravitational pool of energy coming from the moon now, become the moon. Take your point of awareness there. And that gravity that's pulling on Earth, causing high tides, lava movements, Earth movements, we want that gravitational field to be distributed around the Earth in our golden grid and transmuted from just an attraction energy to a shielding energy that does its work in the tides, but it does not do it excessively, but in a normal manner that nature can adjust to. Now that's interesting. You can almost feel the Earth. You can feel the Earth through the Devic consciousness. Breathe a sigh of relief as we go into this, what would be an average, normal gravitational pull from the Earth or from the moon. Again, particularly focus on the cauldron, sending a resonance down into that from our golden grid that will be sustained, an energy of intent to calm the earth energies down, the hot magma, to calm it down, to calm the stresses through that region that are weakening the earth crust and allowing the heat to come up through it. We'll use the gravity of the moon inversely to put a pressure on the cap in the cauldron, the Yellowstone cap in the Great Basin, an energetic cap to hold down, to nullify the pressure of the cauldron. Now take your awareness on northward and then to the Pacific Northwest, where there's a lot of small activity, and this is mostly subduction zone activity. We release that through the ancient volcanoes, which is the natural vent. And some of them aren't that ancient. Some are active right now, like St. Helens. Let's let this energy vent we're working in the subtle energy field that holds all things in form of a physical nature. That's good. And we lubricate the San Juan de Fuca plate, so it's a subduction zone, so it slides smoothly and harmoniously beneath the Pacific Northwest. Now take your awareness on northward to Alaska. And the ongoing oceanic Gulf condition of the Alaskan plate subducting under the mid part of Alaska. Steady ongoing movement there, hundreds of minor earthquakes. Lift that energy upward, lubricating the fault lines, using the ancient volcanoes, clearing the fault zones, all the way up through to central Alaska, Mount Whitney, Mount whatever. All right. Let that continue. Take your awareness down to the Aleutian Trench and the string of islands all the way extending down. There's a light scattering of minor earthquakes there at this time, all the way over to where it hits the Kamchatka Trench. It borders the southern edge of the Russian peninsula. Come down that to Taiwan, and the northern islands of Japan. We have a 5.5 at Shiroi, and further south, straight out from Tokyo, 6.5 at Namai. Now drop south to Taiwan and into the Philippines. Only minor activity there today. Then down into the Indonesian crescent. We have a string of 5 O's through that entire region, and some minor ones, but the number is encouraging because the number is low. So we continue to release from the entire trench area, even eastward into Timor, holding the stress energy down, letting it release through the ancient volcanoes as we've extended our consciousness through the entire region. And we feel that energy rise up through us as it disperses into the golden grid. Now come on eastward to New Guinea, 5.4 at Wewak, Papua, on down into the Solomon Islands, 5.0, and on eastward through that Tonga fault line to the Tonga Trench, downward. I'm really impressed that the moon has not caused greater response than what we're observing here. This tells us that we have done a good job in our work. And in terms of that, Mike, would you like to give us some astrological observation of how this is happening or what's happening?
Yes, just a moment here. I did notice, as you alluded to, that we have a supermoon. The first of the summer supermoons will take place July 12. This describes a moon that, when full, opposite the sun, is at its perigee, or closest point to the Earth. When a supermoon occurs at a full moon, the effect of the lunation is amplified. Everyone responds differently to the full moons. Some become more emotional, some become more anxious, some have trouble sleeping, some have no experience with the full moon at all. Full moon experience generally depends on the makeup of the astrological chart, but in general, this would tend to intensify individuals' influences that are going on based on their own, individual planetary alignments, and intensify things that are naturally occurring. What makes this particular supermoon even more dramatic is the fact that the lunation makes a nearly exact square to the lunar nodes. A lunation is called an eclipse when the sun and moon are conjunct the lunar nodes. The square aspect is more intense and creates more drama for the moon. Heightened emotional intensity will be the norm over the next few days. The lunar nodes are symbolically associated with an evolutionary journey from the past to the future, making this a potentially powerful experience to propel us forward toward our destiny. This eclipse-type experience is made more intense by the fact that Mars, the planet of action, is conjunct the North Node, awakening our desire to pursue a clear path to our destiny rather than become distracted by meaningless detours. And I think I'll leave it at that, as the dogs were indicating to me they'd had enough.
Very good. It's perfect. As long as we're there and focused in that energy and awareness of how it's affecting us, affecting Earth, and how our grid, our golden grid, is interacting with that. We've already expressed the intent for the golden grid to transmute these energies into a creative consciousness through the golden grid that everyone on Earth resonates to, that this resonance be directed toward raising consciousness, lifting people's consciousness up to more consideration of each other, more awareness of the need of dominion, and the release of domination in the earth. And we can also use this energy to stimulate our world leaders, particularly in the financial situation to continue the progression they've been making to bringing the new world reality of the fourth dimension into form in the financial world. So we feel that happening now. Program that strongly into the grid, the golden grid, resonating it through the male polarity down into the female earth mind polarity, changing the polarity of domination in the earth to one of dominion to benefit all mankind. So the instinctive promptings of people will be to make right choice in dominion rather than responding to wrong choice, resonance of domination. This is how the world will change. And you may feel your hand getting intensely hot as we do this. That's because the source of the galactic beings are pouring energy through us and our intent into every living soul and every lower consciousness of humans in the world to make right choice. Now, with that all established and continuing, we move our awareness back to the earthquake grid and continue to lift energy to reinforce what we just created. Now move your awareness down through to New Zealand, where there's no activity at this time, and then eastward across the Pacific to South America. Argentina is fairly quiet at this time, but Peru, northern, in the mid area, next to Bolivia, there's a lot of activity in that subduction zone to lift that energy upward. There's a lot centered around Iquique, Chile. Lift that energy upward. Now move northward to Central America, Nicaragua, Guatemala, along the subduction plate there. Quite a bit of mid-range activity. Lift it all upward through the old volcanic vents. Now eastward to the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. Two strong clusters of minor earthquakes in that region. Lift it all upward. That seems to be calming down and becoming more centralized. So go to the center of the fault line that actually loops around all the way from Belize, around and all the way back to northern Venezuela. Now take your awareness eastward to the Mediterranean area. Some activity east of Gibraltar in Spain, 4.2. On to Greece, 4.6 at Nea Artaki. On eastward to Turkey and Syria. It's interesting that Syrian response, where there's normally no activity there, this is a response of the human concentration of the rebellion they're having there and the social unrest and fear of the people of the Syrians. It's being Earth mind is reacting to that and releasing that excessive stress through a minor earthquake there. Then move on eastward to the Himalayas as they swing northward all the way up to Kyrgyzstan and the plateau of Tibet. That subduction zone activity coming as a response of the India subducting under Tibet. Now move eastward, back across the Pacific. To our point of beginning, and from there eastward to Oklahoma, Langston, Oklahoma. Some mid-range activity there up to 3.2. And there's quite a cluster of energy now. That means they've been pulling a lot of oil out, replacing it with water, which is not as stable as oil. In their fracking efforts, lift the energy of the fracking, release the stress to the earth that they're using to pressurized water to force the plates apart and release the oil. Now we see that happening on eastward also. In Missouri, they go the San Madrid, New Madrid fault. On Steele, Missouri. Release the deep energy that goes all the way into the crustal area through Missouri and southward. Through Louisiana. Now bringing awareness back to our point of beginning. Lift your energy upward. And into the group mind consciousness of humans. Expand yourselves laterally around the earth again in the low self centers of humans. The low self, which acts primarily on primitive instinctive energies. We release the low self primitive energies from every human on earth that seeks to be self-protective, limited in withdrawal, accumulating more than their need, acting in domination. We clear all these energies that create chaos in the world. Instead, we, from the highest soul center of everyone on earth now, bring down a flow of loving dominion with focus on world peace, focus on the financial cabals that are, again, trying for expansion of war and hatred between peoples, particularly in Iraq, where they can't get rid of the primary dominator there, which is Maliki. Put energy towards people making right choice in the parliament as they meet, and send us back in time so that their choices as they elect a new minister, prime minister, will be someone who thinks in dominion. And that's what Iraq is trying to achieve, the leaders in the three factions, but it's being subverted by Maliki and his party. So release his power and domination. In Maliki's party, we create a Tower of Babel where they can't get along. They can't understand the force of Maliki and those in power with him. They cease to respond to the dominating control of Maliki. This is in his political party. Take the support away from Maliki and give it to those who want to create dominion and the basis of the financial reserve that will help to shift the domination of the cabal in the world. Now, anyone else have anything to contribute? Any requests at this time?
Frank, did you want me to mention about the fear factor with weather?
Yes, please do.
Well, I have to credit my friend Angie who brought this up to my awareness, and I suppose that everyone listening to this program and working with the weather patterns and the earthquake grids are quite aware of this as well. But if we could extend our understanding of the cycles and the natural rhythms of Mother Earth out to those who are being led in fear by these reports, whether it's the television weather, whether it's the radio or the weather channel on the internet, they're hyping up all of these situations that never come to be, but the people don't fall back and look and say, wow, they said there was going to be this supercell storm and that never happened. They just drum up the energy, and this energy, we feel it's being used for two reasons. One is a big distraction. If you're busy worrying about your crops or your survival or what's going to happen to your roof, you're not thinking about the bigger picture, how they're using their power and dominion over, or domination over the people in the Middle East right now. You get distracted. And the second thing is that they're hijacking the mass consciousness energy. They're using all of that negativity to fuel and create these problems with the weather. So if we could just find a trigger within ourselves to wake ourselves up when we hear these reports and question it, just like the people are waking up to questioning the political aspects, the financial aspects, question everything. Look at these weather reports where they're saying polar vortex coming. It's summertime. This woman lives in Michigan, and she said that's bombarding them, and a lot of times it's even paid advertisements. So who is behind these things?
Yeah, another thing I find, just to interrupt briefly, that I find hilarious is we're in California in the midst of this most severe drought, in decades, and the local weather lady keeps referring to monsoonal moisture flowing up from Nevada, going, oh, there's a monsoon in Nevada, huh?
Exactly. So let's instill some common sense and some curiosity in people that they will follow through on the things that jog us and say, wait a second, how could that be? And to understand that these patterns come and go, that some of this is a natural rhythm, and not to let the fear take over and not to be a distraction to us, to keep our eyes wide open, have soft vision so we see more than just what's this tube in front of us that we're being directed to, so that we see all the way to the edges.
All right, we only have a few moments left. So drop back in, extend your awareness through all the people of the United States and the North American continent, and release from Earth Mind the fear promptings that of severe weather or shortage or drought or excess. Release the fear of the abnormal reality that's being created by the fear of the news media itself. Just release that, let it go. Know that the world will continue, and know that we are an important part of that in working to harmonize and bring peace, prosperity, love, and harmony into the entire world. And we feel the galactic flow coming through to empower that. And we release it. And so it is. Okay, Dave, we're back.
You still have 6 minutes.
How about give my shoulder a little healing, Frank? I got my left shoulder is because of inactivity around my other condition is giving me trouble. So I got an impingement in my left shoulder.
All right, let's drop our attention into the healing mode. Focus all our attention on Mike. His left shoulder. We spin a vortex of green healing energy into that shoulder to pull it back into place and to strengthen the connections so it's not pulling out of the socket and causing the stress. See the entire shoulder mechanism in the pure and perfect order. We wrap healing energy around that, rotating to the left, then wrap that in counterclockwise with the male polarity, positive polarity, with our intent to hold the form of healing. Now we shift our attention to Dave and his back. Do the same thing. Counter rotation of female creative earth energy, green chartreuse energy in his spine, and where this pain is originating. And in that we correct the discs and nerve damage all the way up his spine. Now we put a counter rotation of the male polarity around that to manifest the form of that which we desired and created. Okay, Dave, wiggle your back. Does it feel better?
Well, yeah, it does.
Okay.
But I'll tell you something else that really helps it. Heat.
Heat?
Heat.
So does that mean you go outside and lay in the driveway?
That means I sit here in my big, easy recliner and put my back up against it because I have a heating pad here that collects heat.
That's better than the driveway.
Thank you. Besides that, if I go outside, I'm liable to fall down. I'm waiting to get my battery-powered cart.
Well, we don't want you falling down.
I would recommend Walt's recapitulator also for those back spasms and pain. In fact, I used it on myself this morning before I came onto the show to relieve stiffness and overnight old age stiffening things. I'm not of old age. And so it is. Thank you, everyone. It was a good session. We felt a lot of good clearing, a lot of release, a lot of harmonizing love coming back into there. Let's leave with a flow of unconditional love from the galactic center through our systems, resonating into the subtle energy field of Earth Mind, through Wolf Spirit Radio to everyone. Unconditional love, holding all the frequencies and patterns of anything you want to attract into your life. Oh, that feels good. Are we off the air, Dave?
We are now, and we'll catch you folks again tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Pacific for healing and meditation.
Yeah, I'll have a lot to report tomorrow night.